Welcome friends to the last act of historical development of Indian political development. It was Government Indian Independence Act of 1947. We will try to understand this act from political angle point of view, what it says. Indian Independence Act of 1947, one of the most important act that we are going to study in next few slides. First, it was Clement Attlee, who was the Prime Minister of Britain, who said that British rule in India would end by June 30, 1948. This is the basic. So, a question could be asked in prelims that who announced or who declared the end of British rule by June 30, 1948. So, you should remember this name. It was Clement Attlee who declared about the end of British rule in India by June 30, 1948. But looking at the agitation, communal violences and the increasing death and violence in India, it was on June 3, 1947, Lord Mountbatten, the Viceroy of the then India, he put a partition plan. This partition plan is famous as Mountbatten Plan, and he talked about earlier removal of British forces out of India. So remember the partition plan given by Lord Mountbatten on June 3, 1947. This partition plan given by Lord Mountbatten is famous as Mountbatten Plan. This plan was acceptable to Indian National Congress as well as it was acceptable to Muslim League, and everything was worked out according to Mountbatten Plan. Now, what were the features of this particular act? First point of Indian Independence Act was it ended British rule. British rule was abolished by this act. Another thing, it declared India as an independent and sovereign state. Sovereign, no internal or external interference. It provided for partition of India, and it said this, as per this act of Indian independence, two independent dominion shall be created. One shall be dominion of India, second shall be dominion of Pakistan. In the chapter on features of the constitution and preamble, I explained the meaning of dominion and sovereign. Dominion, when a state is having independence for almost most of the cases with few subjects still under the paramountcy of British government, so it was dominion. Whereas sovereign, when we adopted the entire constitution of India, we became a sovereign state. The simple meaning of sovereign state, a state which is not under any kind of internal or external interference is a sovereign state. I repeat once again, a state which is not under any kind of internal or external interference is a sovereign state. So this act said that India shall be an independent and sovereign state. Now, these dominions, that is dominion of India and Pakistan, they had the right to secede, or they had the right to move away from British Commonwealth. This was the most important independence, or this was the most important part of sovereignty given to dominions of India and Pakistan. Dominions of India and Pakistan had the right to secede away or to move away from British Commonwealth. Another important development was office of Viceroy was abolished. Also, it provided for Governor General for each state till they adopt a new constitution. Also, it empowered Constituent Assembly. Here it is a spelling mistake. It empowered the Constituent Assemblies. It empowered the constituent assemblies of the two dominion to frame and adopt any constitution of their choice. There won't be any interference from the side of British government. So it empowered both constituent assemblies of Dominion of India and Pakistan to have their own respective constitutions. Also, it abolished the office of Secretary of the State for India. This office was abolished, and the functions were transferred to the Secretary of the State for Commonwealth Affairs. This was the most important thing. Commonwealth is a group of nations, or it is a group of states which were ruled by Britishers. It was a Commonwealth. This particular act declared the lapse or the end of British paramountcy. It means in case of affairs of India and Pakistan, Britishers will not have any kind of upper hand, they will not have any kind of upper say in case of governance and administration of India. Also, it granted freedom to India and its princely states. Princely states had three options. First, they had option to join India. Second, they had option to join Pakistan, or third, they had option to remain independent. We have seen this particular thing. Out of 552 princely states, 549 they joined India, 3 remained independent. They were Hyderabad, then Junagadh, and third was Kashmir. These three states of Hyderabad, Junagadh and Kashmir, they were integrated into the Indian Union over a period of time by wit and tactics of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India. Now what it said that governance of each dominion shall be carried on as per the Government of India Act 1935 unless and until a new constitution is framed. They said that for carrying out dominion of these two countries, the Government of India Act of 1935 should be used unless and until we have a new constitution framed by Constituent Assembly. Also, this particular act, it deprived the British monarch office of right to veto a bill or ask for reservation of certain bills for his approval. This right of British monarch was disapproved or abolished by the Indian Independence Act of 1947, but this right was reserved for the Governor General, who was to head the two dominion as long as they frame a new constitution. Also, it designated the Governor General of India and provincial governors as the constitutional heads of the respective center and state. I repeat once again, this was the very important development. The Governor General of India and the Governor General of provincial governments were constitutional heads of India and those respective provinces. The important title that was being taken by the British King as Emperor of India, this Emperor of India title was dropped by this particular act. This royal title of the King of England was dropped by the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Also, it discontinued the appointment of civil services and reservation of post by the Secretary of State for India. Henceforth, the function of appointing civil services for India and reserving post in the civil services of India shall be the sole authority of Government of India, and Secretary of State shall not have any say in case of civil services in the India. Thank you very much. We have studied all these acts from the point of view of polity. We will be coming with these acts once again from the angle of history in history lectures. Thank you very much. Keep watching and keep sharing the videos. Thank you very much. Have a good day.